Hello and welcome inside the training room. I am your host, Dr. Ken Kaufman, and I am absolutely pumped to have you here where you get exclusive, behind-the-scenes, VIP access into the training rooms of professional sports. Thank you for joining us once again inside the training room. In this third episode with Advanced Genomic Solutions co-founder Lance Bennett and VP of Strategic Partnerships Kellie Caldwell, we discuss AGS-Health data protection policies and how it is shared with client physicians. We also discuss some real-world applications for genetic testing.
Once reports come back to AGS from our office, from the lab, or I guess it's one and the same thing, we encrypt those reports, and if an individual has purchased direct from us, which is rare, that's only about 1 to 2% of our business is direct to consumer, we send that encrypted report direct to the client along with a client implementation guide and a bunch of other resources to help them unpack their report. If it's going through our provider program, our practitioners and providers, the simple one-page requisition form that the patient or client fills out gives us authorization to deliver that report to their designated practitioner or provider.
Right.
So we deliver direct to them. They deliver and distribute to that client or patient, however they're working with them. And that varies among our providers. We have everything from nutritionists and health and wellness coaches, dietitians, to fitness and athletic professionals, all the way to clinical and medical professionals. So everybody works with their clients and patients a little bit different. On our corporate wellness genetic program side, it varies. If the employer has a wellness committee or an entity internally that employees have all agreed, they're perfectly okay with reports coming through the employer. We will allow that to happen. Otherwise, we deliver direct to the employee, and then they have an approach set up with their employer about how that information is going to be reviewed. Some of our healthcare systems, hospitals, third-party wellness companies and organizations, they may be doing those report overviews. Sometimes AGS steps in and does that. Other times we will bring in practitioners and providers to do that if that's a need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But all reports are encrypted, so they're password protected. Links expire after 30 days, and all information is stored offline in offline servers, not on the cloud. So those are the ways that we kind of try to keep data private, both short and long term.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. Here, I got the test right here.
Oh.
So we received our kits the other day and went ahead and mailed those off.
So if you open that up, Ken, real quick, you'll see the buccal cheek swab right inside and the one-page requisition form, which is actually kind of great to show because the requisition form doesn't have 45,000 check boxes on it.
It was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Real simple. Simple instructions. It doesn't even have anything on the back. It's just the front.
Yep. We don't need to know your history. We don't need to know your parents and grandparents and ancestral history. All we need to know is that this is you authorizing AGS to run your swab, deliver an encrypted report, and who we could deliver that report to. Right.
Yeah, it was real simple. It took literally 60 seconds because we had to do both cheeks. So yeah, it's really simple. So let's see. How do you typically see this in a kind of a real world scenario with a particular physician implementing this in their practice? I mean, how do your typical practitioner clients implement this with their patients on a regular basis? Because clearly that's it provides valuable information, but how do they typically do that?
It's a great question. So for most of our providers, we've got when they're working with clients in this area, they've got two different approaches that they look at. They've got folks that are coming in that need to improve their health, and whatever they have been doing in the past has not particularly worked for them. Maybe they have some more stubborn genetics, or they've tried multiple diet plans, whatever the reason may be that they just haven't achieved their goal. This is one area that the client and or the provider has not tried in the past. So really trying to get what we call the genetic owner's manual, right? So if you had the answer key to be able to look at a client and say, this is the way that I would direct you, because it's not me directing you, it's your genes telling me how to direct your treatment plan.
Right.
That's a great way to do it. So we look at one section of clients and needing to really overhaul their health. And this is a great way to do it. The second one is the client that already is in relatively good health. And how do they maintain that level of health for as long as they can? So they are also looking for the same information. It just may be displayed a little differently to say, how do I make some finer tweaks, modification, changes to what I'm doing on an everyday basis to further what my pursuits are. And we've had people come to us that are triathletes that just want to continue to operate on a Friday as strong as they do on a Monday, and making sure that they're putting the right foods in front of themselves and getting the right supplementation on board, and exercising and resting the right way is crucial to that. So
Right.
The provider, once again, it's a personalized program. So whatever they need to do with those results allows them to be able to do that. So we've got a number of different services that we can help the provider with to make sure that we can continue to engage and keep the compliance level high. What we found with traditional non-genetic based programs, a lot of times they'll give them the information, and it resonates in the beginning very high, and then all of a sudden the adoption rate drops off pretty significantly. If you don't have a plan or service in place, whether you're doing it on your own or with your doctor, that's what's going to happen. So being able to have some tools, whether it's an initial implementation guide or a client guide to be able to revisit this information, week after week or month after month, is going to help you develop this into a lifestyle so that you do absorb this and are able to utilize pieces of this test. Or the other things that can happen is we have people that might come in, they may be really enthralled with one area of the test in the beginning. They want to really focus on their nutrition, and that's what they tend to focus on for the first month or two. And when that goes well, the provider can actually refocus them back and say, you were able to find some really good success with this genetic information. Now let's take a deeper dive into these other areas which you have not put into play yet, and really see some continued vigor with understanding the information, which really helps their genetic journey, the provider's genetic journey, because then what happens is the provider can say, wow, that worked really well for this subset of clients. How well might it work for some other ones? So we typically see is providers which may start it on a smaller scale. Before you know it, you're testing a numerous amount of clients because they know that they can find some better successes in that.
Right.
I'll build on that and say, overseeing our provider and practitioner program, the number one question I get every day from them is, okay, how do I go about implementing this?
Right.
So from a logistical standpoint, it's a really straightforward question. I don't want providers and practitioners to change anything about what they're already doing, because what they're doing works, it works well, and they've earned the trust and confidence of their clients and patients. So the biggest obstacle and challenge that we tend to have to overcome is to help practitioners and providers understand that we're trying to stay in our lane, which is genetic testing, and get them to stay in their lane, which may be chiropractic care or nutrition and wellness coaching or physical therapy or sports medicine, orthopedic surgery. We even have urologists in our practitioner and provider program. So do what you do already very well. Take the report and the information, extrapolate off of it what you need, and implement that with your clients and patients. At the same time, encourage that client or patient to take that very robust report to everybody who's part of their health and wellness journey. And we've seen a lot of collaboration start to happen between practitioners and providers who maybe are in different areas of subspecialty, but they're able to work together in a team and collaborative approach with each other about the overall optimization of health and wellness for that particular individual.
Right.
So we don't have a black and white implementation approach outside of maybe our corporate wellness genetic program is a little bit more black and white, but even that can get real colorful and creative because all of those unique needs are, individual to that particular employer. But practitioners run the gamut. So we really come alongside and want to be a partner as long as we provide accurate tests, validated and substantiated through genetic sciences. We maintain the privacy and we deliver the information in a very easy to read and very actionable way. Then providers can take that information and build it out however they want. I would say that over 95% of our providers build in the test to a program or a service.
Right.
So maybe they're offering multiple sessions with a client, or they're using it as the foundational baseline of understanding all of this different variety of genetic information. And then we're going to build from that over time instead of just selling a genetic test and that's it and delivering a report. It's much more typically a more robust approach.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's, I can imagine, implementing this with a patient and utilizing that. And Lance touched upon the ability to, look at one narrow focus, because most of the time patients have, they come in to see me and they see other practitioners for a specific thing. And it could be, it could be weight loss. It could be a particular injury or whatnot. But to have the comprehensive nature of the test and the reporting, to be able to take that information, address that specific issue that they're there for, but then also be able to point out, well, there's this other issue, these other issues that, if we address those and have the same success, you're going to even be, even better off. Thank you for joining me inside the training room for this informative interview with AGS-Health co-founder Lance Bennett and VP of Strategic Partnerships, Kellie Caldwell. Make sure to join us in the final episode where we talk about the nuts and bolts of AGS-Health testing costs, affordability, and the different programs available.